ridiculed everything from his training methods to his beautifully decorated stables at Santa Anita to the rah-rah slogans he has posted there. Those stem from his background as a high school basketball coach. He told me that he often makes more in a weekend now than he did in a year as a coach. So Wayne Lucas still marches on to his own drum.
Just work to the slowest horse. Put your horse on the outside.
I think any time that you start dealing with the racehorse industry, you're dealing with tradition. And the tradition runs deep, and when you go against the grain, or if you do something that isn't quite in the traditional manner, you're going to get criticism, and with it a certain amount of jealousy. I think, ruffle some feathers. And what we've done is we've more or less marched to our own drummer. But I think the critics are getting far and few in between now, and I think more and more we're getting people to see things that are happening in our particular operation that are successful.
The key to success is to think like my father does. When something comes up to where maybe he's unavailable, he's not there, to know what would he do in this situation. To achieve what he's achieved in the 7 or 8 years is just incredible.
We've got a great relationship. We have more than a father-son relationship, more than a business relationship. I think we complement each other.
When Jeff led Badgerland to the winner's circle one day, someone watching on television with Wayne thought he saw a tear in Dad's eye. He was right.
When Jeff went to him and led him in the winner's circle, it was an emotional experience for me. And one of the writers there said he saw that I was a little bit misty-eyed over the moment, and he said to me, he said, gosh, he said, are you that fond of that horse? And I said, no, I'm that fond of that boy.
Back again live as the horses are starting to move into the paddock. Here are the Lucases leading in Badgerland, second favorite in the race at the moment. You know, big hats on ladies are a tradition here at the Kentucky Derby. It's a vestige of the days when Southern ladies didn't get suntan. They kept the hat on to keep their skins porcelain white.
Fashion comes to the Derby in two forms, high and low. On the high side are women's hats, lending color and elegance to the occasion.
Hello.
Hello.
What do you know?
What do I know? I know what's happening here and abroad every day. All the views on the news, what the experts say.
How?
'Cause Brian told me. Brian told me.
Brian Naylor presents Channel 9 News.
I know everything I need to know, 'cause Brian told me so.
But what do you know?
Get the best news in Melbourne, each night at 6 o'clock.
Hello.
Time now for the pre-race ceremony to begin. The United States Army Band from Fort Knox, Kentucky, and our national anthem.
Singing of the national anthem, performed today by the 113th U.S. Army Band, based in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
The band will be conducted by Brian Arnold.
Start of the race drawing closer as we come to you again from the first turn on just a gorgeous day. Again, Snow Chief is the favorite right now at 2-1. Badgerland is 5-2. When you're a jockey in a 16-horse field going 1.25 miles, what is the basic strategy you're thinking about?
Well, really, Al, in a race like this could turn out to be a jockey's race. Doesn't necessarily mean it will, but it could. There are 3 crucial places in this race where a rider really has to be on his toes. Whether you're a front runner or come from behind horse, you have to get a good start. That's very, very important. You can't live through a bad start. Then there's a big pile up here on a turn, everybody jockeying for positions. The sprinters, and I don't mean sprinters, but the speed horses, they don't want to have a suicide pace. They've got to kind of conserve their horses, get into the turn well. You don't want to lose any ground around the first turn. The horses that come from behind, they have that same alternative. They don't want to lose too much ground around the turn. Going into that far turn, that's where the race really begins. The leaders that are strong, they're going to have to hold their position. To come from behind horses can't afford to go around too many horses, and of course they can't afford to be shut off going between horses. Then of course at the quarter pole, that's where the race begins.
All right, let's go back to Jim McKay.
All right, Al, there are all kinds of handicapping theories. There's trip handicapping and speed handicapping, and there's the one they're talking about this year, the very complicated thing called the dosage index. Now, every winner of the Kentucky Derby since 1927 has had the proper dosage. What is dosage? Let's take a look. First of all, you trace back 4 generations of sires, and they are ranked for their qualifications from brilliant, meaning speed, to professional, meaning stamina. There are 5 categories in all. A number is drawn from that with a formula going from 0 to infinity, and 4 is the magic number. If you have one over 4, you cannot win the Kentucky Derby, and that is held up since 1927. What about this year? Well, they say that Snow Chief doesn't have it. He has one of 5.0. Others who are non-contenders, according to the dosage, Mogambo, one of the favorites, Bachelor Beau, and the English horse, Bold Arrangement. Well, maybe you have your own theory. A good one, like throwing a dart at the program and seeing where it sticks. I picked mine that way. Let's go down to Jack Whitaker now in the paddock.
All right, as you see, Snow Chief, favorite over there, being saddled up. Mel Studi there to the right. And he's looking quite calm and nice. As a matter of fact, most of them are, and the weather has been a blessing today. It's cool, a nice breeze, and that makes it very nice for the horses and the spectators. Here's Ferdinand, number 1. Charles Whittingham, the trainer, the Hall of Famer, and Bill Shoemakers has the ride. A handsome colt, and absolutely classically bred, especially for longer distances. And he is looking very alert, ears up, as you see. Eyes alert, his coat is fine. And now we're looking at Badgerland, number 7, as he comes around here with his blinkers. And we'll get a good look as he passes in front of us. His ears are up. He looks full of it and ready to go. Nice shining coat. And very calm. Everybody calm here. As you see the crowd in the middle of this paddock here, and the crowds outside pressing in, which cause problems if we have any problems here. Mogambo, number 2, who has just been syndicated for breeding rights, half of them for about $11 million, so a lot of interest in him today. Broadbrush, number 6, winner of the Wood Memorial, coming around. And he's also looking fine. As a matter of fact, the deportment here is quite excellent. Any school teacher would love to have this for class. Number 3, our British friend, Bold Arrangement. And take a look at him. He is going for a new experience here. Only raced on grass once and around left-handed turns once. And here he is in the Kentucky Derby. He's going to try to win the Derby and then go home and win the English Derby. And he is looking just fine also. This is probably one of the most relaxed paddocks I have seen in all the Kentucky Derbies I've been to. Everybody under control, everybody expectant, of course, a great anticipation. And we'll be back as we draw nearer to the magic moment here for the 112th Kentucky Derby right after this.
Who said this ain't a great time?
It's reflected on the left, so take a look at your favorite horse and you'll know what color the jockey is wearing. What's interesting there, not much change since we came on the air. Ferdinand still 17-1, Mogambo and Bold Arrangement still 8-1, Vernon Castle 12-1, Rampage has been holding close to 8-1, Broad Brush still at 14-1, and as we continue on, Badgerland at 5-2, Wheatley Hall not getting much backing. Snow Chief is the favorite at 2-1, Bachelor Beau and Groovy, and then you have the field, which is currently 15-1. And with Bill Hartack, let's talk about some of the other horses now. Number 6, for instance, Broad Brush is 14-1. Appears to be a pretty good bet.
I think I like this horse. My heart is with Snow Chief, and that's who I really like. But if anybody surprises, I think this is a horse that can do it.
All right, but not much action at 14-1. Then you have Bold Arrangement. Now, you rode an English bred here about 12 years ago. How do they come back the second time? He looked so good at Keeneland.
Well, mine came back better the second time, but he didn't have the race this horse had the first time. And I like this horse. He has to improve in order to win, but I think that there is a chance that he is going to improve.
Magambo has been kind of erratic. We pointed that out early, but Magambo, number 2, is a horse obviously capable of winning on his best day.
Well, the thing about Magambo is even with his temperament, he's only been out of the money once, and I'll tell you, he's got a terrific stride, and he can go a mile and a quarter, and he's a threat.
So there he is, Magambo, with 4 wins in his 11 career starts. And then if I've got to go for a long shot, I like this Rampage out of Arkansas. And if you like a thrill, he's a horse that comes from behind, and he's 8-1 right now.
I'll tell you, Al, he's not out of it. And I'll tell you, the contention here is very deep. And it's going to depend on how the race progresses. That's going to give a lot of other horses a better shot than what they look like on paper. The good thing about Rampage is every one of his starts, he keeps closing. He keeps punching at the end. And, of course, Fabi Forbes, who I don't even know why is in the field, he has a similar form. He keeps punching at the end.
For a jockey right now, Bill, and we're some 12, 15 minutes away from the start of the race, what's going through your mind at this moment?
Well, just about this time, I really want to get on the racetrack and get it over with. Of course, you can't do that because you're on a timing schedule, but really you've built up everything that you could possibly do. You should have had your homework done by the time you get to this race, and now what you want to do is you want to get on your horse, you want to get out here and warm him up, see how he feels to you. Hopefully he's going to give you a good feeling and not a bad one. But then after that, then your reflexes and your thoughts are going to take over once that gate goes up, and you're on your own. It's a very crowded field. There could be some pile-ups around the turn. You've got to be on your guard and alert at all times.
It's an odd race in the sense that so much of the pre-race publicity centered around one horse, Snow Chief, who was a 6-5 morning line favorite and is currently 2-1, and yet it does not figure by any stretch of the imagination to be the type of race that's a runaway. In fact, it can be far more classified as wide open than a 1 or a 2 horse race. So a look at the field, at some of the contenders, and let's go back to Joe.
That's the elevator. Right. You know what it is? Yeah.
All right. Time to be moving out for the Kentucky Derby. Soon, My Old Kentucky Home by Stephen Collins Foster, a man from Pittsburgh. But he visited here often, and the home that was supposed to have inspired that song is this one, 60 miles from here in Bardstown, Kentucky. You can go and visit it these days and hear on the chimes those strains that always bring a tear to our eye, and will very shortly. Moving out to the racetrack now, and even the jockeys will tell you, or some of them have told me, that they do hear the song. George Velasquez says, when you come on the track and you see the people and they play that song, your heart goes bang, bang, bang. The call to the post will be given this time by a woman. The official bugler now is Karen Easterday, 21 years old. They auditioned 7 people, 6 men and 1 woman, and the woman won. Well done, Karen. Ready for the song now, which will be sung for the first time before this crowd. It's always been just a band before by the Stephen Collins Foster Singers.
Along with the Stephen Foster
The hope is, and I think will be the fact that the crowd will sing along with them.
Kentucky Home.
In the
And now many have had their moment in the sun. It's time for the horses to shine. 16 to go to the post in the Kentucky Derby. As we look at them, you will see the current odds listed on the bottom of your screen for each one. Number 1 will be Ferdinand. We'll be getting a look at them as they turn back and move in towards us again. There's part of the huge throng on the clubhouse turn. Everybody up in the fancy boxes, down in the grandstand and the clubhouse, and behind our camera here, the huge crowd in the infield. Celebrities on hand. There's Ginger Rogers. Well, at the Breeders' Cup the first time we saw Fred Astaire, her old dancing partner. He's a great racing fan too. Probably watching out in California today. Ginger's still an entertainer after all these years. Everybody's here for the great Kentucky Derby. Turning back now towards the home stretch. They'll march up there, then break out into a warm-up. 16 horses, 5 of them in the pari-mutuel field. Therefore, the post positions, as Al told you earlier, will be different than the saddlecloth numbers. Number 1, Ferdinand, trained by Charlie Whittingham, looking for his first Derby win at the age of 73. The rider, again, is 54-year-old Bill Shoemaker. Number 2 is Mogambo, one of the favorites here, trained by Leroy Jolly, the only trainer who has won this Derby among those in the race today. He won it twice with Foolish Pleasure and Genuine Risk. The rider both times was today's rider, Jacinto Vasquez. Here's the English horse, Bold Arrangement, being walked by his trainer, Clive Britton, there on the near side, and on the other side of the horse is his lad. That's what they call grooms back in England. Number 4 is Vernon Castle, winner of the California Derby, named after the great dancer of the 19-teens and 20s. Vernon and Irene Castle was the partnership. Number 5, Rampage, winner of the Arkansas Derby. He's the one they call Rambo because he's so tough. There is Rampage, a Florida bred. There 8 horses in the field are non-Kentucky breds. Let's move on to number 6, the Pride of Maryland, Broad Brush, Bob Meyerhoff's horse, trained by Dick Small, ridden by Vince Brashali Jr., a very talented Maryland jockey. He's held at 14 to 1 now. Number 7 will be the second favorite, it appears at the moment, Badgerland. That's the Lucas horse, ridden by the remarkable and the redoubtable George Velasquez, one of the top jockeys of his generation. Number 8 will be a long shot, and if you like a real long shot, take a look at Wheatley Hall. He might just do it. Jack Van Berg is his trainer, the winningest trainer of all time. Gary Stevens, a very good jockey. Here is the favorite. This is Snow Chief, ridden by Alex Solis, and 2 to 1 the odds. He is the favorite at the moment. Number 10 is Bachelor Beau, winner of the Bluegrass Stakes. He's a long shot, ridden by Larry Melanson. Number 11 will be The Speed Horse, may lead the race by the clubhouse turn, even though he's from the outside. That's Groovy. Number 12, and now we move to the horses in the mutual field. Number 12 is Wise Times. He didn't win the Louisiana Derby, but he ran the last 1/8 of a mile in 11 3/5 seconds. That's quite remarkable. Watch for him charging at the finish of this race. Number 13 will be Icy Groom. He's owned by William Fleming, trained by Sam Raymer. That's his 5th trainer, by the way, ridden by Eddie Maple. Number 14, Southern Appeal. If he was not in the mutual field, he might be 100 to 1 or more. Number 15, Zabaleta, has already broken out of the post parade. He's a speed horse, too. Will be near the outside. And number 16, Bobby Forbes, owned by Bob Brennan, and ridden by the courageous jockey Randy Romero, who almost died of burns a couple of years ago, later suffered a broken leg. Now to Lynn Swan.
Jim, I'm standing in what is officially called the clubhouse courtyard. Very often it's referred to as the Rose Garden or the Tulip Garden because those flowers are grown here. But today, it's here on Derby Day, it's standing room only. Many of the people have come here, they're strolling around, sampling the food, having a mint julep, lovely bonnets, people upon the ladies' heads, but all the time they're keeping one eye on this giant tote board behind me and an ear to the call because they're all waiting in anticipation of hearing their favorite for the Derby name come across that finish line first, Jim.
Okay, and so Snow Chief is still the favorite. Badgerland's second favorite. Third favorite at the moment is Mogambo. That's the way the crowd feels right now.
Tuesday at 8:30, come behind the
At the current odds, just minutes before the race. Bill, what is the significance of the fact that most of the fast finishers are on the inside, have the inside posts, and most of the speed in the race is outside?
Well, that's sort of coincidental, but I'll tell you, the way it turned out, speed horses, if I was on a speed horse, I'd want to be a little bit toward the outside, in the middle toward the outside. Gives you a chance to look at the field as you're getting into the turn and dropping over. And of course, the horses that come from behind, they don't have to cross over. They can just more or less, as soon as they maneuver into position, they don't have too much room, too much distance to go down to the rail.
Again, as you look at the odds and the fact Badgerland is number 7, remember he breaks from the 10 post and Snow Chief number 9 breaks from the 12 post. Let's go to Charles E. Canty.
Well, as they said in the paddock, this was a very good, well-behaved group of horses, and I've got to comment that Mogambo has gone to the post very, very quietly. He's barely turned a hair. Also, Bold Arrangement, who's been known for his behavior in the paddock, has jogged the length of the stretch with no pony and is being very much a gentleman. And now, Jim, they're all in order out here. We'll go back to you.
There is George Velasquez aboard number 7, Badgerland, the second favorite in the race. Bill Hartack, I believe you can hear me. There's Carl Grinstead, the co-owner of Snow Chief, smoothing his hair just a little bit. Little bit of nerves, or maybe he's just preparing for the winner's circle at age 75. Retired electrical engineer, co-owner along with Ben Rochelle, the former song and dance man. It's Ben Rochelle just behind him there, talking to the young lady. They're having such a wonderful time. All winter long, they've been here from coast to coast and back again. There is Bill Shoemaker, 54 years old, looking for his 4th Derby win. He'd love to give it to trainer Charlie Whittingham, who hasn't come here, remember, in 26 years because he said he'd never return until he thought he had a horse that could win. He thinks that Ferdinand can win this race today, and a lot of other people agree with him. Bill Shoemaker. Now here is Snow Chief, the 2-to-1 favorite in the race. Snow Chief, the son of Reflected Glory, a 22-year-old stallion who stands, remember, in California for $2,000. We have a report, however, that he's not standing very much anymore, that he's just getting too old, may not be able to service any more mares. Plenty of applications, you can be sure. Out of a mare named Miss Snowflake, who won only $2,300 in her days on the racetrack. Bred in California, and again, 8 of the 16 horses in the race today are not bred in Kentucky. There's Maryland bred in here, several Florida breds. California breds are the 1st and 2nd favorites in the race. There's even a Texas bred, that is Groovy, the speed horse ridden by Lafitte Pinkai Jr. today. Bill, this has been such a remarkably well-behaved field. I mean, in the paddock, usually somebody is bothered by the crowd. Everybody seems so cool.
Well, you know, all through the early part of the training days ago, every trainer was really happy with the way his horses progressed. We've had an ideal day, and fortunately all the horses have gone out there and gone out there well. I like to see that.
Okay, there is Shoemaker aboard the horse, and here is Charlie Whittingham, the bald eagle of Sierra Madre, they call him, and yes, there is no hair under that hat. Hasn't been since he came out of the Marine Corps a long time ago. Didn't have much left, and he shaved it off. Well, I think he was before Yul Brynner, as a matter of fact. The great Charlie Whittingham, a Hall of Fame trainer. What a great thing it would be. Those are the only 2 horses he had run in the Kentucky Derby, and neither one did very well. 26 years later, he is back again as the horses approach that starting gate. Slightly on the curve there, as you can see why that number 1 post position is kind of tough for Ferdinand and for Shoemaker as he moves in. Okay. Just about ready to go into the gate as the crowd begins to build. We have a microphone on the starter, Tom Wagoner. Want to hear some of those sounds. Number 2 moving in, Mogambo, 3rd favorite in the race. Ridden by Jacinto Vasquez.
All right,
that is Leroy Jolly's horse. The assistant trainers, underrated people. That's a dangerous job. Number 12 going in now. Remember, the post positions are different than the numbers. That's wise times. Here comes Bold Arrangement, the English horse, with a mind of his own. Number 13, Icy Groom, Eddie Mapleup. He's never won the Derby. Number 14, Southern Appeal. He would be the longest shot in the race, remember. Jesse Davidson aboard. Another Maryland bred. Number 4, Vernon Castle, California Derby winner. Broadbrush. Badgerland, 2nd favorite. Wheatley Hall. If there's a long shot that could win, he's the one, I think. Snow Chief now, here's the favorite. And Bachelor Bow, long shot, won the Bluegrass, front runner. Lots of speed on the outside, remember. They'll have to break fast to go for that clubhouse turn. That's Groovy, another speed horse. You'll really see them moving. Here's Zabaleta, yet another speed horse. Now, up top, waiting to call the race for us is Mike Battaglia. Mike?
Thank you, Jim. They're almost in. They're at the post. And they're off. Breaking for the lead from the outside, Bachelor Bow and Groovy. Also from the outside, Zabaleta, Snow Chief between horses. Then Vernon Castle. Down the stretch for the first time, Groovy has the lead by a length. Zabaleta is second, Bachelor Bow third, a length to Snow Chief fourth. Gap of 4, Vernon Castle, 5th by a head, Southern Appeal, 6.5 length, Broad Brush is 7th. Between horses, Wheatley Hall runs 8th. Up from the outside, Badgerland is 9th. Moving on to the back stretch, it's Groovy by a length. Zabaleta second, length and a half. Bachelor Bow third ahead, Snow Chief fourth, gap of 5. Southern Appeal now runs 5th. Length to Broad Brush in 6th, Wheatley Hall 7th by a head, Vernon Castle 8th. 3 lengths to Badgerland running 9th. Down along the inside, Rampage 10th. Bold Arrangement is 11th. Also up from the inside, that's Wise Times. They're moving for the turn. Groovy on the inside has a head in front. Zabaleta second, a length. Snow Chief is gaining ground. Those 3 are right together. Bachelor Bow fourth. Into the turn, Zabaleta head in front, Snow Chief second. Gap of 2. From the inside, Wheatley Hall third ahead, Broad Brush fourth ahead, Badgerland on the extreme outside. They're moving for the stretch. Snow Chief, Broad Brush on the outside, Badgerland, all 3 horses together. Also gaining ground, that's Bold Arrangement. They're into the stretch, it's Badgerland on the outside. On the inside, Bold Arrangement. Here comes Ferdinand on the rail. In the final furlong, it's Ferdinand getting the lead. On the outside, Bold Arrangement and Broad Brush. Nearing the wire, it's Ferdinand in front. On the outside, Bold Arrangement. Under the wire, Ferdinand under Bill Shoemaker wins the Derby by 2. Broad Brush finishes second, a photo for third. And Ferdinand under Bill Shoemaker, the master, wins the Kentucky Derby, running time 2:02 4/5. Back to you, Jim McKay.
And there is Charlie Whittingham wearing